Think face sores are just creepy legends? They might be the cruelest kind of living prison. You're rich beyond imagination. Yet every night you're locked in the kitchen, gnawing on raw meat. You're a famed healer, worshipped across the land, yet you kneel before your own knee, smashing your head against it like a madman. You even raise a knife to your own leg bone only to feel the pain explode from your heart. Now, get on your knees and listen to the truth whispered by that face growing out of your knee. You were once a legendary physician, renowned far and wide. But 3 years ago, to steal a secret formula, you watched coldly as a widow and her child starved to death before your eyes. Now you live in luxury, richer than kings, yet a speaking human face has grown on your knee. Every day it screams for meat, especially craving the flesh and blood of children. In horror, you realize the face is a perfect match for the woman who starved to death. Worse still, it's begun to control your body, dragging you into the kitchen at night to devour raw flesh. You kneel in despair at the overgrown grave of the mother and child. The face lets out a shrill laugh. Fool! Your son burned with fever all day yesterday. It was me who swallowed the last wisp of his soul. You sprint home like a madman, only to find your child's body cold and purple. The face cackles from your knee. Now, feed him to me. Your fingers brush against the bulge on your knee, cold, hard, like a stone embedded in your flesh. Just a month ago, it was a harmless red bump. Now, it's grown to the size of a fist. Covered beneath silk trousers, it throbs faintly with every beat of your heart. A slimy, nauseating dampness seeps through the fabric, foul and unrelenting. The fortune you've amassed over 3 years now feels like a pile of icy rubble at your feet. Once hailed as Zhang the miracle healer, you brought the dead back to life. Nobles and officials begged for your help with gold piled high. But now, only the heavy sound of your breathing echoes through this vast estate, accompanied by the dull cicadas crying outside your window. That winter 3 years ago, the bone-deep cold punched through time and seized you again. A dilapidated thatched hut, the howling north wind, and a woman's skeletal hands clutching a brittle, yellowed piece of paper. The legendary green satchel formula said to restore life and flesh. Beneath her, the child lay still, waxen-faced, his breath as thin as spider silk. "Sir, please, trade the recipe for some food," the woman whispered, her cloudy eyes holding nothing but dim hope. And you? You stood outside the wind-leaking doorway, wrapped in a brand-new sable coat, as the snow-laced wind slapped her bloodless cheeks. You still remember your thought at that moment. A priceless ancient formula in exchange for 2 lives as worthless as weeds? No, not worth it. Not at all. That formula in your hands could fetch mountains of gold. It could make Zhang's clinics bloom across the land. A handful of rice meant nothing to you, yet even that sliver of mercy you snuffed out. You watched the light in her eyes fade. Watched the child in her arms go still. Watched as you slid the paper filled with ancient secrets from her frozen fingers. Your heart thumping with a secret thrill. You became half the city Zhang, wealthier than nations. With a few rare herbs from the recipe, you cured the governor's terminal illness, broke through impossible barriers, and the silver flooded into your coffers like a broken dam. You forgot the woman's face shriveling in the wind, forgot the tiny, lifeless body. Until now, until this lump of dead flesh pulsing on your knee tolls, like a belated funeral bell, deep in your bones. Suddenly, the stone beneath your fingertip twitches violently. Like a heart forcibly sewn into your flesh, it throbs with life. You yank your hand back, shivering as cold sweat drenches your back. Then, A faint groan, dry, distorted, seething with inhuman rage, drills straight into your ears. It came from inside your knee. You freeze. Your blood turns to ice. Fear coils around your heart like cold vines, squeezing tighter and tighter. You stare at the bulge beneath your silk pants until your eyes nearly pop, hungry. The voice again, clearer now, and glutted with a chilling, gluttonous greed. You rip up your trouser leg. The silk slips down smoothly, revealing a grotesque mound just above your knee. The skin is stretched paper-thin, flushed a sickly blue-purple. Something beneath is squirming, thrashing madly. Pop! A faint tearing sound. The purplish skin splits open in a hairline crack. Yellowish pus, thick and clotted with blood, oozes out like tears. From deep within the gash, a tiny pink bud of flesh pushes out, twisting wildly, sucking in the fetid air with greedy gasps. Hungry! A shriek, razor-sharp and shrill as sandpaper scraping bone drives straight into your brain. As the voice screams, the pink bud swells and splits right before your eyes. It arches upward, splitting into a deep crease, a mouth. Flesh folds back on either side, forming two murky, bloodshot eye sockets. A bump in the center stretches downward into a crooked, twisted nose. Then, the mouth splits wide open, revealing a row of jagged, black, needle-like teeth. A face. A full, hideously distorted human face, no bigger than a palm embedded in your flesh. It looks nearly identical to the woman who starved to death in that storm, especially those eyes clouded, seething with boundless hatred. The face locks its gaze on you. Its saw like black teeth clacking as it hisses a soul-piercing cry. Flesh! Fresh human flesh! Feed me! Your stomach lurches. You slap a hand over your mouth, bile rushing up your throat. Terror floods through you, shattering every last thread of sanity. You let out a scream inhuman, guttural, and fall from your chair, writhing on the floor like a dying fish, clawing wildly, trying to rip the demon face from your body. Get off me! Get off, you devil! Your fingernails dig deep into the skin around your knee, blood pouring freely. But that face is fused to your bone, unmoving. Worse, your pain only seems to thrill it. The more you resist, the louder it shrieks with manic delight. Pain? You think this is pain? The lips of the face on your knee writhed grotesquely, its voice slithering like a venomous snake. Think of her. Think of him. The agony of freezing and starving to death in the snow, their guts twisting from hunger, every word stabbed into your memory like an ice pick dipped in poison, digging up the bloody guilt you had tried so hard to bury. No, it wasn't me. It was fate. Heaven gave you no way to live. You curled on the floor, sobbing and babbling, clinging to the straw of so-called destiny. Heaven? The mouth twisted into a grotesque grin, halfway between a sneer and a sob. Heaven is blind. From now on, your life is mine. It snapped its black-toothed jaws open and let out a shriek that split the rafters. Flesh! Give me flesh! Or I'll show you what it's like to have your heart eaten by 1,000 ants! As if to prove its threat, a wave of indescribable pain exploded from your knee. It wasn't burning or cutting pain, but the sensation of countless barbed fangs burrowing into your marrow, gnawing and tearing with insane frenzy. Every muscle seized up. Your eyes bulged. Your throat could only let out a wheezing gasp. No scream came out. Cold sweat poured from your body like a waterfall, soaking you through in an instant. Meat! Live meat! Tender meat! The face's voice slithered into your mind between pulses of agony, like a dark incantation. Hurry! There's fresh lamb in the kitchen! As the pain ebbed slightly, you collapsed like a boneless dog, gasping for breath. Each inhale reeked of blood, Death had never felt so close. Crawling and staggering, you dragged yourself toward the kitchen, with only one thought in your mind. Feed it. Shut it up. Make the bone-gnawing agony stop! The kitchen was a mess, thick with the stench of blood. On the chopping block, a freshly slaughtered lamb lay half-skinned, its little body still twitching. The face on your knee bulged and throbbed with excitement, its mouth stretching wide, hissing greedily, its cloudy eyes locked onto the pile of fresh flesh. "Quick! Give it to me!" it shrieked, its saw-toothed black fangs grinding together with a sickening click-click. Trembling, you reached out and grabbed a hunk of lamb's leg still warm, still dripping blood. The metallic stench and raw, gamey odor made you gag. Eyes shut tight, teeth clenched. You slammed the bloody meat into the greedy mouth on your knee. A grotesquely satisfied moan escaped it as the mouth opened impossibly wide. The black teeth sank into the lamb with ease, ripping, chewing, devouring. Sticky blood and meat pulp oozed down your leg, soaking your trousers and staining the stone floor red. You could feel its icy, writhing throat pressed against your bone with every gulp. Each bite sent a disturbing suction through your leg, as though the face wasn't just eating lamb, but draining your life as well. You trembled uncontrollably as nausea racked your body. Your stomach twisted violently. You bent over but couldn't vomit. Only bitter bile scorched your throat. Watching the meat vanish into that twisted mouth, seeing the scraps of flesh clinging to its lips and its look of contentment, a coldness deeper than death froze every limb in your body. This was only the beginning. You realized in despair that the stench of lamb's blood had merely dulled its screams for a moment. Those cloudy eyes, brimming with boundless hatred, had never once looked away from your face. Not enough to fill a tooth gap, it murmured, lazily licking the blood from its lips, its tone sated but sinister. "Tomorrow, I want something better." "Better? What more do you want?" Your voice was hoarse, cracking with fear you could no longer hide. The cloudy eyes rolled strangely, locking onto you. Its mouth stretched into a spine-chilling grin, revealing rows of serrated teeth. "I want it fresh, alive, tender." Each word oozed from its lips like it was savoring a delicacy, especially the little ones. Their flesh is soft, their blood sweet, and their souls most nourishing. A child? It was like lightning struck your spine. Your entire body convulsed. A chill shot from your feet to the crown of your head. Terror clenched your heart, threatening to stop it entirely. You whipped your head toward the east wing where your only son, your little Bauer, just 5 years old, lived. The last of the Zhang bloodline, your only child, your everything. "No, no way! Over my dead body!" You roared like a cornered beast, driven to madness. Where the strength came from, you didn't know, but you lunged toward the stove, grabbed a heavy cleaver. The cold handle bit into your palm, fueling a wild surge of desperation. You raised it high. The blade gleamed under the dim oil lamp, aimed at the face still licking its lips. "You wretched demon! We're dying together!" With eyes bloodshot and wide, you swung down with all your might. The blade whistled through the air, but just as it was about to touch the thin, bluish skin. "Hey, RGH!" An unimaginable pain erupted from within your knee like a volcanic blast. It wasn't flesh being cut, it was your soul being torn apart, tossed into boiling oil. It was as if 1,000 red-hot needles pierced every nerve in your body at once. Your arm went limp, and the heavy cleaver crashed to the ground with a loud clang, narrowly missing your own foot. You collapsed like boneless sludge, body writhing uncontrollably. Foam bubbled from your mouth. Your eyes rolled back. All that remained was a dying wheeze from your throat. Sweat, tears, and foul-smelling fluids soaked your clothes. The pain so deep, so complete, carved into your bones, into your soul. And in that moment, you understood. This thing was now part of you. When it hurts, your pain is unbearable. If it dies, you die completely, body and soul. Your life was no longer yours. The pain receded slowly, like the tide pulling back, leaving only weakness and bone-deep fear. You lay sprawled on the cold, greasy floor, chest barely rising. The face on your knee let out a low hiss, like a snake tasting the air filled with cruel mockery and triumphant dominance. Kill me, fool! Its cloudy eyes rolled, greedily sweeping over the blood splattered on the floor. Your life is tied to my soul. If I die, your soul scatters. You won't even qualify for hell. You shut your eyes, hot tears mixed with cold sweat sliding down your face. Despair weighed on you like a chain of ice and iron, locking you in this personal hell. No more struggling, no more screaming, only silence, endless, suffocating silence. The demon had found your weak spot. It owned your fate now. What followed was true hell on earth. By day, you were still half the city Zhang, wealthy beyond measure, forcing yourself to endure the lies and flattery of the business world. Under your voluminous robes, your knee was always padded thick to hide the source of the rot and stench. Every step, every seat, you felt it squirming under your skin, slimy, cold, pulsing. You became withdrawn, evasive, irritable. The servants tiptoed around you, thinking their master was troubled by business. But nights were a nightmare. The face's appetite grew monstrous and picky. Lamb no longer satisfied it. It demanded the living. Chickens! Live ones! It howled in the dark, its voice stabbing your ears like needles. Like a thief, you slinked into your own chicken coop under the cover of night. The startled clucks of the hens pierced the silence. You trembled as you grabbed a struggling speckled hen. The face pulsed excitedly, its jaws opened wide, black teeth gleaming under moonlight. Eyes shut tight, you shoved the bird's head into the mouth. Squawk. A short, shrill cry and silence. In the dark, you heard the crunch of bones being crushed, the wet sounds of sucking and swallowing. Warm chicken blood splashed onto your hands, your face. The stench of blood and feathers churned your stomach. You could feel the ghost face feed its power surging with every bite. It was feeding on life, growing stronger. And you were just its empty, rotting shell. Duck, still warm, breath just gone, soul still lingering. It demanded next. Pig! Suckling pig! The liver and heart are the softest. Its cravings were endless. Your kitchen had become a slaughterhouse. You, like a numb and seasoned butcher, offered it blood sacrifices under dim candlelight each night. Your hands, soaked in the blood of countless creatures, could never be cleaned. With each kill, each feeding, you felt your humanity peel away, your soul sinking further. That face, so like the starving woman, always wore a grotesque look of satisfaction after feeding. The hatred in its cloudy eyes grew stronger, piercing you to the bone. It was no longer content to wait. You began to sense something far more terrifying, a cold, foreign will creeping into your limbs. It started late at night, though exhausted and desperate for sleep. Your legs moved as if pulled by invisible strings, leading you toward the kitchen where raw meat was stored. In terror, you fought back with sheer willpower, every muscle tensed, cold sweat pouring down your back, barely managing to seize control again. Then, one day, You happened to catch sight of the new maid, just 12 or 13, chasing butterflies in the courtyard. Her rosy cheeks, slender wrists, radiated the vitality of youth. And in that instant, the face on your knee pulsed violently, a craving so overwhelming it suffocated. Your thoughts crashed over you like a tidal wave. Your eyes locked on her neck without your will. A low, beastly growl escaped your throat. Saliva filled your mouth uncontrollably. Some brute force pushed your body forward, urging you to lunge at her. No! You slammed your forehead against a cold stone pillar, shattering the trance with searing pain. The girl, unaware, fled in fright. You collapsed to the ground, gasping for air, watching the face on your knee squirm and hiss in frustration. Terror gripped you. You were no longer merely hosting it. It was taking control. It was turning you into its hunting puppet. Who would be next? Your son Bauer? That thought froze your soul. Bauer. The name struck like lightning through your despair. Yes, Bauer. He was your only child, your last hope in this world. Nothing could happen to him. A crazed thought took root in your heart. If this demon was born from the sin of 3 years ago, from that starving mother and child, then the source lay in that forsaken grave. Once it took hold, the thought became unstoppable. Like a lone flame in the dark, perhaps even a hellish one, it gave you courage, even if soaked in dread. Avoiding everyone, you slipped out of the Zhang estate alone in the dead of night. No carriage, no servants, just you, stumbling toward the desolate burial grounds outside the city. The moonlight cast pale shadows on jagged stones and crooked trees like ghostly claws. Night owls cried like funeral bells. The wind was like icy blades, slashing your cheeks and sneaking under your robes, yet it couldn't cool the terror and twisted hope boiling in your chest. Guided by faint memory, you struggled through overgrown weeds and crumbling graves. Thorns tore your robe and skin, leaving streaks of blood you didn't even notice. At last, in a shadowed hollow at the foot of a hill, you found it. It could barely be called a grave, just a small mound barely rising above the weeds. A withered locust tree loomed nearby, its twisted limbs casting monstrous shadows in the moonlight, like a demon guarding this forsaken burial place. The heavy snow from 3 winters ago had long vanished. Only silence and desolation remained. Thud. Your knees slammed into the stony, root-covered ground. The sharp pain was nothing compared to the storm of terror and regret in your chest. You pressed your forehead to the cold earth before that nearly unrecognizable grave, your body trembling violently with emotion. "Spare me, please! I'm begging you!" You wailed incoherently, your voice hoarse and broken, echoing through the still graveyard like a ghost's lament. "It was me! I was blinded by greed. I watched you die. I'm not a man, I'm a beast!" You lifted your head and slammed it down again, your forehead smeared with dirt and leaves. "If you want a life, take mine. I'll pay whatever you want." You sobbed, fingers clawing at the frozen earth. "Just please spare my Bauer. He's innocent. He's my heart and soul. I'll kneel. I'll serve you in life and death. I'll burn every coin I own for you. Just don't touch my child." You screamed until your throat bled, each word soaked in blood and tears. But in the vast stillness of night, your plea sounded pitiful and absurd. Just as you collapsed, forehead bloody and raw, the face on your knee burst into an ear-shattering cackle unlike anything before. "Ga ga ga ga!" The laughter dripped with malice, mockery, and an unspeakable satisfaction. It twitched and thrashed wildly, the face contorting, its cloudy eyes rolling, black saw like teeth, flashing cold in the moonlight. "You fool. You worthless worm. Begging now? It's too late. Far too late." Its voice stabbed into your skull like steel needles. "Your precious boy last night. He was burning up, wasn't he? like a little furnace. Your cries died in your throat. Your blood turned to ice. Last night, Bauer really had spiked a sudden fever. His little face flushed red, his body burning, vomiting up the medicine. You'd felt uneasy, but assumed it was a cold and told the steward to fetch a doctor. You thought it was just a chill? The voice oozed venomous glee. It was me! I swallowed his soul piece by piece! That heat you felt? That was his soul burning away! Ha ha ha! Delicious! So nourishing! Boom! It was as if a thunderclap exploded above your head. Your vision went black. The world spun. All sound vanished, except that demonic laughter, echoing endlessly in your ears. Bauer's soul eaten? The fever last night, a pain like no other, tore through your body, ripping your insides apart. It wasn't from the face. It was the agony of a father, realizing that his child, his own flesh and blood, had been devoured by a demon born of his own sins. No! My Bauer! A scream tore from your throat. So raw, so broken. It no longer sounded human. The anguish and despair in that cry could move even ghosts to tears. You shot to your feet like a maddened beast. Fear, pain, even death. None of it mattered anymore. One thought filled your mind. Bauer! You forgot the demon laughing on your knee. Forgot where you were. You erupted with strength, born of pure madness. Stumbling, crawling, sprinting down the hill like a shadow gone mad, racing toward the city, toward the blazing lights of the Zhang estate. Thorns tore your face. Stones tripped you. You got up, kept running. A beast's snarl escaped your mouth. Blood burned in your eyes. Bauer! Daddy's coming! Daddy's here! Wait for me! You screamed into the night, voice echoing across the wild fields, filled with soul-crushing desperation. You crashed into the heavy front gate with your body bursting it open. The night watchman screamed in terror, dropping to the ground as you tore through the courtyard like a hurricane, bursting into the eastern wing. Shouts of alarm rang out, but you heard nothing. Bang! The door to Bauer's room nearly flew off its hinges. In the flickering candlelight, your wife, Lady Wang, knelt by the bedside, her shoulders shaking with muffled sobs. On the bed, your little Bauer lay still. He was covered with the soft, cloud-patterned quilt you'd ordered just days ago, embroidered with a lifelike golden qilin. But the face beneath that blanket was a lifeless purple blue. His once rosy lips were black. Long lashes lay still on unmoving lids. His tiny body was cold and stiff, like a jade statue. Dead. Your Bauer was dead. Last night while you hunted for blood for that demon, while you begged futilely at the grave of your victims, his soul had been devoured, bit, by the monster your sin had birthed. The world crumbled before your eyes. All sound vanished, all color drained away. Only endless frigid darkness remained. You stood frozen at the doorway, like a statue emptied of soul, barely breathing. Time stopped. All that remained was the crushing, silent agony pulsing from your chest. The vile throbbing in your knee returned sluggish, sated, and greedily eager. That face so like the starved woman slowly turned toward your son's tiny, lifeless body. The hatred in its eyes had been replaced with something far worse, a naked, bone-chilling hunger. Its mouth stretched wide, revealing rows of black, serrated teeth. Its voice was low, hoarse, commanding like a verdict passed from the depths of hell. Now, feed him to me.